Welcome to RANsquawk's morning briefing for Wednesday, the 24th of February 2010. At the moment, just gone through 10 now in London, and the indices here in Europe are trading in minor negative territory. Underperforming somewhat is the Greek stock market, as well as Spain, which is down quite heavily due to some broker downgrades for the likes of Santander and BBVA from Barclays this morning, which is weighing on the index. In terms of Greek, several stories of focus following on from some of the aftermath yesterday from Fitch downgrading four of Greece's largest banks. There are ongoing strikes throughout the capital, Athens, today in response to the austerity measures put forward by the government. That has got a bit of attention. Allied to that, a German lawmaker has already been on the wires suggesting that any potential bailout would be or is not legally binding in terms of the current rules, announced from a German lawmaker. And something I'd like to point out from the Wall Street Journal as well that isn't helping sentiment for Greece is that wealthy Greeks are pulling their money out of local banks and sending it abroad, fearing increased government scrutiny on assets and a run on the banks if Athens is forced to turn to the IMF, according to private bankers. Having seen that news, the spreads in terms of the Greek 10-year bond yield spreads are up around 10 basis points wider, the widest they've been in around 10 days or so. And the credit default swap on the 5-year basis in Greece is also up around 7 basis points at the moment. So as mentioned, that has put a bit of a dampener on proceedings. So far, the financials is one of the biggest underperformers in the Eurozone. Individually as well, Commerzbank have come out after hefty losses yesterday on the back of poor quarterly earnings. The German newspaper Handelsblatt suggested that the bank may need to raise further capital, €3 billion being a number touted within that piece. Basic materials are also trading lower. Spot gold has broken the 1,100 level on the downside, is down around 1%, with WTI crude futures also down around 50 cents. Noting as well for some of the weakness in spot gold, some commentary from China Daily overnight that said China may not buy the IMF's remaining 191.3 metric tonnes of gold as they look to avoid any market volatility. In terms of other news from overnight for US listeners, it is worth noting Fed's Bullard did speak. Said measures passed in the US House to restrict the central bank's emergency lending powers and create a council of regulators may not prevent another crisis. He also added that the Fed may not have to raise its emergency lending discount rate to a full percentage point above the interbank Fed funds rate to normalise lending. In terms of things to come, much of the focus is going to be on Benjamin Bernanke. He's to give the first of his 2 of the week semi-annual speeches. That'll be at 3 o'clock London, so that's going to be at 9 o'clock in Chicago. Allied to that as well, we'll be eyeing the 5-year notes $42 billion auction from the US usual time, 6 in London, midday in Chicago, and we'll see whether that can show good demand as we saw in yesterday's Treasury auction.